Hello, everyone, and welcome to another segment of the Masterpiece Lounge. I am your hostess, Chrisnatha DeRozier, certified life coach, author, and speaker. So come on into the room, say hello. As you know, we love to know where you're tuning in from, so let us know down in the chat. And I am super excited because today we have a special guest. We are live with Doris Jean Pierre. She is an HR consultant, and we are excited to have her today. Hello, Doris.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. It is my pleasure being here.
Awesome. You're so welcome. We are excited because you are an amazing woman, and I have so many questions for you. And I want our audience just to get acquainted with you and to find out who you are and about all the great work that you do. And so we are going to jump right in. And the first thing I want to know, I know this is like a complex question because you're so multidimensional, but who is Doris Jean Pierre?
Professionally speaking, I am an HR, a certified HR professional, and my background is in healthcare administration. Somehow I pivoted into the HR world, people and culture, diversity, equity, and inclusion. In addition to that, I serve as executive director at a nonprofit called the Access Bridge Foundation, where we help students and recent graduates in launching their career in healthcare administration. But if you were to ask some of my friends, they will tell you that I am a very outgoing person. I am result oriented. I am down to earth, and I just enjoy life.
I love that. Yes, enjoying life. That's what it's all about. And I just love that the work that you do is just so amazing. And so you mentioned that you are an HR consultant. So when did you first get into the business of people? Like when did that start for you? And what excites you most about the work that you get to do?
My experience started volunteering at a nonprofit organization called the National Alliance for the Advancement of Haitian Professionals. And while working or volunteering at NAP, I had the opportunity to work alongside the president and recruiting people for the team and creating processes, policies, and procedures. At the time, I had a huge focus on healthcare because my undergrad is in healthcare administration. And so I didn't think that I was going to make a full pivot into human resources or people and culture. About 2018, I remember when I realized that there was such a gap that existed between the candidates and the hiring process and timeline, and I wanted to do something about it. And so my experience specifically was related to students and recent graduates because we faced the dilemma of having an education but no experience. And so I've always found that to be a bit fascinating in terms of, how do I balance both? And so I started creating work programs within workforce development, which is one area of HR. And I was given the opportunity to serve as director of people and culture for a tech company in the US and Canada, providing services in the US and Canada. I later then studied for my SHRM exam and I became SHRM SCP, which is Senior Certified Senior HR Professional. And I'm currently preparing to take my Certified Diversity Executive Professional certification. And so I am fully in HR now in the business of people. But it was my interest in making a difference. When I recruit, I've always said that I take a human approach with recruiting. You need a job and I need a person, right? I'm not here to make your life hard. I'm not here to make things complicated for you. I'm here to make things as simple as possible and really improve your experience as a potential employee, but really as a candidate at the time.
Wow. Thank you so much, Doris, for breaking that down for us. That is so key because I know many times, many individuals or even people tuning in can be um, in moments, or find themselves where they feel a bit intimidated when they have to put themselves out there for a new position. And like you said, just that gap between graduation and experience, where do they fall in? So recruiters such as yourself, who actually love helping people, are such an asset. So thank you for breaking that down for us. um, can you tell us about who you serve, how you serve, in the proactive approach? So, how do you serve the people?
Yeah, so the proactive approach is my HR and people and culture consulting firm. So we work with small business owners, tech companies, but definitely we work with companies that are newer to the market or small to medium. We provide them with full HR services. We provide a full suite of HR services, from recruiting to benefits to payroll. We also provide services related to training. And so we work directly with them in making sure that um, the people that they have, the people who are pushing their mission, their people strategy aligns well with their business strategy, because these two, they have to align for you to have a successful workforce or a successful business. And so for some of them, sometimes they just need a policy to be created, a process to be created. Sometimes it's about conducting a full HR audit to see where they have opportunities for improvement. But yeah, so we work with small to medium businesses, and when we recruit, we work directly with talent looking for their next opportunity, people who are trying to figure life out, people who don't, they have a passion, they don't know how to use that passion. We also provide services to them from a talent standpoint. But ideally, we work a lot more with the businesses.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, that's great to know. So you're making sure that the company and the small business is making sure that their business needs are met, but also that there's a people approach to the individuals that are on the teams, managers, employees, and so forth. So that is awesome. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. That's so needed. What inspired you? Because I know you mentioned you are an executive director of a nonprofit. So, what inspired you to establish the Access Bridge Foundation?
Yeah, so what inspired me to establish the foundation was actually my own story, the challenges that I encountered. As I mentioned earlier, my undergraduate degree is in healthcare administration from Florida International University. And I had such a difficult time in landing my very first role. And so I remember just trying to navigate the space and dealing with the I have the education, I don't have the experience. I remember after graduating, the first job offer that I received with a bachelor's degree, it was from a company. At the time, I lived in West Palm, if anybody's familiar with the South Florida area. And the job was paying $13 an hour. And the job was in Belgrade, which was about an hour away. Right. And not knowing, I'm like, $13, like that makes sense. I'm like, I'll drive an hour away. It's one way for me to get experience. Yes, it could have been a way for me to get started in the field, but there are many other ways. So I had this degree and I didn't really know how to navigate the space. I didn't really know how to tap into my own strength as an early talent at the
Mhm.
time, although prior to graduation, I completed an internship program. And so I spent, I think, between 3 to 6 months looking for my first role. And it actually took me moving to Boston, where I landed my first role in Boston. And at the time, I started thinking, what if I didn't have the resources in place? I had a really good friend. I called her up. I said, hey, I did a job interview over the phone, and it seems that they want to offer me the role, but they want me to have a second interview with the department manager. Can I come over? And she said, absolutely, come over. So I
Oh,
was
that's
able, yeah,
awesome.
she welcomed me into her home. And I'm like, so I'm forever grateful for that. Right. And then
Mhm.
I later got with my family, and then I figured out my life in Boston. So it took me again, lending my first role. it happened in Boston, coming from South Florida. And if you know of anything, you know that the weather in Boston is very different from
Mhm.
Florida. Now, I've
Yes.
always told people that I was born and raised, not just born, I was born and raised in Haiti. So I came from the warm climate and I couldn't take it anymore. So, to make a long story short, I then relocated back after my a little bit of time working in Boston. I moved back to South Florida. At the time, I started working on my MBA in healthcare management. Upon graduation, I landed an internship in Portland, Oregon with Kaiser Permanente of the Northwest, which was a health plan. And I started having conversations with other interns, other students, and recent graduates around the difficulties and challenges that they face when it comes to landing that very first role. And so it became apparent to me that the issues that I faced, I was not the only one facing those issues. There
Mhm.
were many more other people facing these exact same challenges, if not worse. And upon doing more research, because I'm like, okay, like I want to learn more about it, I then learned that a lot of the challenges that exist, they affect early talent and students. However, African Americans are affected the most by these disparities. I had an awesome manager. I still keep in touch with her.
Awesome.
Um, I reached out to her and I was like, "Can I have a meeting with you around like some things that I've discovered?" And she really empowered me to continue to do more research. So when I launched the Access Which Foundation, it was first called the Early Careers Academy because I envisioned something that would empower, would provide the students with what they need to take that to get to find their next role within the healthcare administration field and make that difference. And so my own story is what inspired me to launch the Access Bridge Foundation to empower other students. And eventually, what we hope to do is to eliminate disparities in healthcare administration by making sure that we bridge the gap between education and experience. We have launched some programs. We've provided resources to help them, and we've received quite a lot of a good results so far. We've
That's
done two
wonderful.
cohorts. Thank you. We've done two cohorts through one of our programs. We are getting ready to launch the third cohort next year in February. And so I'm just glad that I was not only able to follow my career path for a short period of time in healthcare, but to be able to empower people. And now having that HR background is it's even better than I could have imagined in a way. So I that really also inspired me to go from more of the administration route to more of creating programs and resources for early talent, workforce development, inclusion, diversity, belonging, etc., and also health equity. So yeah, that's what inspired me. And I'll mention one more thing. My internship in at Kaiser Permanente in Portland, Oregon, it was working with underserved communities. And in working with underserved communities, I had the opportunity to learn more about the health inequities within our communities. So I
Mhm.
worked directly with the Medicaid manager. So I did Medicaid and charitable programs. I worked directly with my manager, the state of Oregon, to address some of the disparities in our community and also to address social determinants of health. So all of that, like all together, it really fueled my passion for people and for advancing people, whether it is from an HR standpoint or from a healthcare administration standpoint.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much, Doris. I love that you used all of your personal experience and you were able to pull from that and said, here's what I learned from this. Let's see who else is experiencing similar
Yeah.
situations and how can I come together and say, what can I take what I learned and the resources that are available to help other people who are experiencing similar situations and needing just clarity about what are my next steps? How do I get
Mhm.
to the place that I want to in my career? So that's
Yeah,
wonderful. I love that.
absolutely. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. You can hear your passion as you
I
share.
hear
So
you
I
all the
love
time.
that. I
I
love
tell
it.
people that all the time. They're like, "Oh my gosh, you're so passionate about this." Kind of.
That's trust me, that's necessary. That is so necessary.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for sharing that with us. You share such a wealth of information with us, if I am a recent graduate, if I am a small business owner, I need HR consulting, how do I get in touch with you?
Yeah, so there are a few ways to connect with me. I am on Instagram. I'll provide the link. It is Doris Without Borders. That's just who I am as a person. Doors Without Borders means so much. I This was given to me while living in Portland, Oregon. This name was given to me by
It's
Stacy.
perfect.
Yeah, thanks. And so you can connect with me on Instagram, Doors Without Borders. I am very active on LinkedIn, Doris Jean Pierre. Sometimes it takes me a day or two to get back, but I will get back eventually. And then if you are looking for direct services, HR services, and again, we work with from the idea stage to help you understand what you will need from a resource standpoint to, we're now a medium sized company. Our website is theproactiveapproach.com. So it's www.theproactiveapproach.com. You can connect with us there directly. You can send me an email. You can submit a question. I also have my Calendly on there. Feel free to connect with me.
All right, guys. So you can see the Instagram, see the website, theproactiveapproach.com, and also you could connect with Doris on LinkedIn at Doris Jean Pierre. So be sure to connect with her. We want to thank you so much for hanging out with us today in the Masterpiece Lounge. It has been an absolute pleasure. You are family. You're welcome here anytime. So
Thank you
thank
so much
you.
for having me.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to connect with Doris. Also, be sure to meet me here, same time, same place next week. I am Chrisnatha DeRozier, certified life coach, author, and speaker, and your hostess. And I'll see you very, very soon. And until then, be well. Take care, everyone.
Take care.